If you feel like you're not reaching your ideal customers, or you're constantly trying to peep at your other competitors to come up with marketing ideas and you never really have original concepts and you're not sure why you're not getting consistent sales, I hate to break it to you, but you might have started your business off on the wrong foot. Thankfully, there are ways that you can go back in and tweak your strategy so your marketing efforts come much more effortless and those consistent sales start coming in. So in this video, I'm going to discuss exactly what this process is, brand strategy, why it's so important, and how you can go ahead and implement it. Hi everyone, my name is Danae. I make marketing simple. If you're interested in marketing, definitely consider subscribing and signing up for my free newsletter, The Digital Marketing Diaries, which you can find in the description. Okay, so as I mentioned in the intro, this process, this important thing that you need to start off with when you are building a business is branding or brand strategy. But a lot of people think of branding and immediately imagine your logo and your aesthetic, which is also one of the most fun parts of starting a business, coming up with a cute color scheme and logo and something really fun or minimalistic or elegant or something that really represents you and what you had envisioned for the brand. But branding isn't just a logo, and if you don't take anything else from this video today, I hope you take away that. Branding is much more than a logo, and it encompasses a lot of different things that overall play a huge role in how your business will be perceived, which leads me right into what actually is branding then. So your branding is your unique identity. And more than the logo and the aesthetic, it's the emotional connection that is created when people see your brand. Your branding is the public perception or the reputation that your brand has. It's what differentiates you from your competitors, not just in how you look, but in how you make people feel. So for example, think about all the different chocolate brands or soda brands and how each of them might be selling similar things, but all give off different vibes, different emotional connections, or are perceived differently. Yes, that has to do with marketing, but before marketing comes this branding aspect. And branding covers a lot of different things, which I'll get into in the video. So to expand on this kind of weak definition I gave in my opinion, I'm gonna break down branding in 5 different points. So first we have identity and perception. And this has to do with usually what people think about when they think of branding, which is the color schemes that you choose, yes, your logo, the brand packaging, all that kind of stuff, but also the tone of voice and your brand personality, which I think often gets lost in the sauce. People don't really think about this, which is a big part of why I wanted to come on here and speak about brand strategy as a copywriter. So aside from identity and perception, which most of us think about when we think of branding, we also have the emotional connection. And this is all about how your brand evokes emotion through, yes, those visuals that we just talked about, those colors, but also through the stories that you tell, the values that you set when you begin your brand, and the story that your brand tells. Those all evoke specific emotions, which create a different emotional connection with your audience. Next, we have differentiation, which are the unique selling points that set your business apart from other competitors. So likely there are other people selling very similar services to you, or maybe the exact same product or service as you. And when you're coming up with your brand strategy, it's important to set how your specific product or service is different from others out there and include that in your branding. And then overall branding is also the value and perception of your brand. So if you have a more premium service, for example, you want to ensure that again, this visual identity, this logo that you have matches that premium identity, or vice versa. If you want to be a cheaper option, that the value that the perception that your audience has through your branding mimics the value that you're trying to put out into the world. So now let's get into how you actually build a brand strategy. If you already have a business and didn't really delve into brand strategy, you can easily take the information that I'm sharing here and tweak stuff that's already happening to, create a more rounded brand strategy. And if not, then you can start from scratch using the steps that I'm going to share. Now, this is kind of a more simple jot point walkthrough of what the whole brand strategy process would look like. A lot of brand strategists have, workshops that are 3 hours long, or processes that are 6 to 12 weeks long that go through all of this in extreme detail, which is so valuable. But you can take what I'm sharing here and kind of develop your own process and take things little by little as you go. So when you first start with brand strategy, you want to think about the purpose of your business outside of making money. Why did you start the business? Who are you looking to help? What is your ultimate goal here? And for some people, you might have to dwell on this for a little bit. So maybe you could set up a camera and record yourself talking about why you started the business, what inspired you, who you're looking to help, those sort of questions to really build that foundation, because that is what's going to help you build this brand and ultimately differentiate you from any other competitors. So you want to start with your why, your who, generally what you thought, if you chose a specific name, why did you choose that name? What is the purpose behind it? Really getting into those details to build this storyline that I had mentioned earlier. Once you've done this part, then you want to go into competitor and market research. So who in your immediate area, so let's say you're based in Toronto, Canada, who in Toronto, Canada is offering similar services as you, and maybe list 3 to 5 of those immediate local competitors. And then from there, expand and do people that are outside of your specific area. Maybe they're around the world, because we have this digital space now, and list why you like them, maybe why people buy from them, what you don't like about them, and just get very clear on what other options your audience has out there. And you can put all of this information into a document, or as I say, record it and then type it out, whatever feels most natural to you, but you want to kind of have a hub of all this information. Once you have all of that stuff down, which should at this point probably be like 6 to 7 pages of info, because you want to get very detailed and specific with it, you want to get into your avatar and break down the demographics and psychographics of your avatar. So your primary avatar is your ideal customer, the person that, based on who you built this product for, etc., who your ideal customer is. So the demographics, where they're located, their age, their relationship status, how much money they're making, where they might have found you, what movies they like to watch, what they do on the weekend, what they like to wear, what other brands they buy from. You really want to get into detail with that type of stuff. And then you're thinking about one person when you're doing this. So one specific avatar, you want to give them a name, you want to give them an age, because this is who you're going to sell your products to now moving forward. And so if you started this video saying, yes, I've been feeling really confused about who I'm marketing to, by this point in the video, you should be like, oh, this is making sense now. Because before you get into developing your logo, you need to know who you're trying to connect with. And if you didn't do that prior to, all of the elements aren't cohesive, and that's probably playing into why you're struggling with, marketing or getting consistent sales. So you really want to have a deep understanding of your audience. So after you do the demographics and you want to do the psychographics, what are the current issues they're facing in regards to not having your product? How is your product going to help them? What other solutions have they tried? Why haven't they maybe tried your product yet? Why have they tried your competitors and maybe not like them? Get into detail about their emotional state. How would they feel if your product actually solved their problem? How would they feel if they never if their problem was never solved? And get into very specific detail with all of this information. To do this, you could interview people who have already bought products from you, or if you are completely new, nobody's ever bought a product from you, think about the person, and maybe you made the product because your past self was having that issue, product or service. Think about who you were at that time. That's really helpful. Or think about your ideal customer and reach out to someone who you think potentially could or would be interested in buying your product and ask them these questions themselves. Maybe even give them the product to test out or service to test out and try. So this avatar research is really important, because now this is the base that we're going to use to build out our elements. So the elements that I'm referring to are messaging and design. So your design is going to be based on, of course, how you want your brand to be perceived, but also what we understand the target audience, our main avatar, specifically not target audience, our main avatar would be attracted to. So I'm a person that, I've talked about this probably in almost every video, I'm a person that's really attracted to brands that have beautiful aesthetics. I like neutrals and I like a more minimalist aesthetic. So, any brand that reflects that immediately captures my attention subconsciously. If I'm buying new supplements, I'm looking for a brand that has really cute packaging that's going to look nice on my kitchen counter. Even if I'm buying a toothbrush, I want it to look a certain way, because curating those little aspects of my day make me feel a lot better. So if you go through your avatar's psychographics or demographics and you understand that, they are into a more nude, minimalist aesthetic, and they're your ideal customer, and a lot of their other traits kind of match that formula, you wouldn't go into your logo design and branding and create this like super colorful, more playful, bold design and overall brand identity. You would want to go into it to match that, as well, of course, the values that I discussed in the first part of the brand strategy framework. So that's why going through all of those pieces before are really important. So once you get down to this brand identity section, you can really describe to your graphic designer what you're looking for in your mood board, and your mood board is based off of this research that you've already done. And if your graphic designer or your brand strategist, understands this stuff, is really knowledgeable about this stuff, that brand is neuroscience, then they'll be able to incorporate those elements for you without you even directing them. And then from there, or in that same time frame, you also want to start building out your messaging. And your messaging kind of encompasses your brand tone of voice and speaks to this avatar that we've created. So we might create messaging that talks about the brand, what the brand is, why the brand exists, who the brand is for, the brand storyline, kind of basic standard things, the brand's missions and values, all that encompass everything we've discussed. So why you created the brand, who it's for, what they value, and within the tone of voice that we choose to reflect the branding, to reflect everything that we've kind of curated and discussed, we would write this messaging. And this messaging is stuff that you can copy and paste and use as website copy, or you could open up and use to direct any short form content that you're making or advertisements that you're making. You could also include different variations of slogans or Instagram bios and that sort of thing, which really remind you who your brand is and who you're targeting to. And if this is a process that you might do on your own, the messaging specifically, you could go into ChatGPT and say, I'm creating standard brand messaging template for my brand. Can you give me a set of questions that I can answer in my brand's tone of voice? And then I would say when you're choosing the tone of voice, to think of maybe 3 to 4 different adjectives that reflect it. So maybe it's romantic, it's soft, it's intimate, whatever. And then from there, you use that tone of voice to write out the messaging. And I always say this, before you try and reflect a tone of voice, write out exactly what you want to say. So what you want to say is, this brand is made for women who do blah, blah, blah. Make it sound really generic and simple and just straight to the point. And then from there, you can start to make it fit the tone of voice by taking out words or reframing sentences, using different adjectives or using different words that reflect this personality that we're going for. So by the end of this process, you can see that you have all of this branding, this messaging, these visuals, maybe the photo shoot, the website, everything is now coordinated. They're all working for each other. So your website is subconsciously attracting your target audience. The messaging is also attracting them because it's talking directly to them. The photos that you've taken also reflect all of this, and everything is just working together. So by doing this, you're increasing the chances of people purchasing from you because they know this product is for me, because you target it, because you created your branding for them. And then from there, your marketing is so much easier. If you're in a rut, you don't know what to say, you can pull up this document that you have and go through the pain points and look at your avatar, look at what their situation is, and directly speak to that avatar in your content or your ads, which has high chances of performing well because you've went through this process and curated everything to speak to them on every single level. So I hope that gave you some clarity on what branding actually is and why you may be struggling to get consistent sales. So if you feel like this work is a little bit daunting and you'd like to get a brand strategist to help you with it, I do have a recommendation. It's the same person that I've worked with. I would recommend them to anyone. If you see my website and my branding in general and you like it, they're the one who did all of it, and I also work with them to do messaging for their clients. So if you'd like to get connected with them, you can reach out via my website, email, or Instagram DMs, and their website is also linked on the footer of my website as well. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. If you did, again, definitely consider subscribing to my free newsletter, The Digital Marketing Diaries, which you can find in the description, and also clicking subscribe. Thanks.